Hey everyone, welcome to the latest edition of Off the Top Rope. It's been a while since I've done one of these things. Just a lot of stuff going on, sports and whatnot, life stuff. Yeah, it's been a while. A lot of news. Wanted to talk about Raw, but also major news in professional wrestling in the world of WWE. Samantha Irvin is leaving the company. Word is she quit. A lot of speculation has been going on around as to why. Listen, okay, first of all, I wish Samantha Irvin well. She's one of the best ring announcers in the history of professional wrestling, as far as I'm concerned. Her enthusiasm, I know some people get rubbed the wrong way. Some people didn't like the fact that she cried during announcing Cody that was the winner at WrestleMania 40, but that was one of my favorite ring announcements I've ever witnessed in my life. Her raw enthusiasm for the shows and, you know, the cameras on her just made things feel different, and it didn't feel like, you know, fake or anything. And I'm not saying ring announcements are fake, but, you know, there's some, like, you know, performance to it, and there was some level of authenticity to Samantha Irvin and what she was able to do as a ring announcer. Just like you could relate to her. And it was fun, and it was nice. So to see her leave is unfortunate. To see the reaction and how a lot of people within the wrestling community reacted to this news is, I think, part of the reason why she left. Because let's get real, and Ricochet confirmed this. Ricochet, her fiance, confirmed this and basically said she's not going to AEW. So before any of y'all try to make bold predictions that she's going to go to AEW, or for all you WWE fans who are mad that she's leaving, call her a traitor or say that blame Ricochet because she left WWE. Let's get one thing straight. Samantha Irvin does not need WWE, okay? She does not need WWE. She never has needed WWE. She is a WWE fan, and she is great at her job, and she's one of the best ring announcers that WWE and professional wrestling has ever seen. But if you've paid attention to her, Samantha Irvin is an amazing singer. She plays the flute. This is a immensely talented woman, and no matter where she goes, she is going to succeed. So, did you ever think in your head that maybe people in wrestling don't exactly have a career in wrestling? Like, we did this with Kayla Braxton. When Kayla Braxton left, and there was people already jumping to conclusions that she was going to go to AEW, she was like, no, I'm going into acting. I'm doing other stuff. Like, why does everything have to be about wrestling? At some point, you guys have to pull yourself back from this wrestling sphere and realize that these people are human beings, okay? And I think that's part of the reason why Samantha Irvin left. Because Ricochet left a few months ago, and there was a lot of negative backlash back and forth towards Ricochet, and then Samantha Irvin posting stuff with Ricochet. It just led to a lot of nasty back and forth between AEW and WWE fans, and Samantha having to, you know, deal with stuff on her Twitter and, you know, having to say stuff to wrestling fans. And it was just, I think it just became too much for her. And, I don't blame her. Like, some of the aspects of tribalism have ruined professional wrestling. I've talked about it here on this show and on this channel. It's just, it's not right. And these people are real human beings. And Samantha Irvin is a human being, and I wish her well. I am not going to say a bad thing about her. She sounds like a wonderful person. And, you know, I wish her all the best. Like, the Ricochet element of this, if it was Ricochet, who cares? They're going to get married. They're happy together. They love each other. Who gives a shit? Leave the stuff out of this and let these people be human beings. That's my big thing with this whole thing. And I didn't like how a lot of people reacted to this situation. It really rubbed me the wrong way. So let's get that out of the way. In terms of Raw, Lillian Garcia makes her return. She was a little bit rusty, but, you know, hey, first time in 8 years. You're a consistent ring announcer. It's great to see Lillian back. So that was awesome. So Raw was actually really good. It was probably the best 2-hour iteration of the show. It started with you know, Bronson Reed. They show all the shots of the key factors in the show walking in, and then Bronson Reed's walking backstage, and Seth Rollins just hits him from behind, grabs a suitcase, whips him with that, and then we follow him to the ring. We start a brawl, which was awesome. Rollins does a dive and all this other crazy shit. The crowd's going crazy in Philly. This was a hot way to start the whole thing. And this was a theme throughout the night. Whenever Adam Pearce wanted to have an interview or talk about something. He couldn't get it done because Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins were beating the shit out of each other. And that's how you build a feud. And this has been really a pleasantly surprising, well-built feud. And I've always been a guy behind Bronson Reed in terms of believing that he can be a bigger deal. And this was the angle to do it. Now you get to put him in the ring with one of the best in the world, one of the best in the company, in Seth Rollins, and this should be a really good match. And it sets up it at Crown Jewel, which is a great setting. I'm glad Bronson Reed's going to get on a premium live event. He deserves it. He's fantastic. One of the best big guys working today. And yeah, this was the whole angle that they did throughout the show was really well done. I really appreciated that. Really a lot of good stuff here and a hot start to the show. Then we actually set up a match between Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez against Damage Control, which is Kairi Sane and Io Sky. So that's an interesting setup. Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods beat Akam and Razor in the first round tournament match to advance to the triple threat match next week. Quick little match. Miz came out to help the Final Testament, but R-Truth actually showed up and actually fought for himself. Wasn't being goofy at all. Shows up, tries to beat the shit out of everybody, and it leads to a roll up by Kofi, and they get the win. But then Kofi's trying to help R-Truth, who's getting beaten down by the Final Testament and the Miz, and Woods just basically holds Kofi back from doing anything, and this plays into the whole angle with New Day trying to be more serious under Xavier Woods' leadership, and that's an interesting part of this. Then we get the Wyatt Six coming out, a lot of stuff happening, so we finally get to see the Wyatt Six. They're clearly targeting the Final Testament. Nikki Cross takes out Scarlett, Eric Rowan, Dexter Lumis, and Joe Gacy all take out the rest of the Final Testament, and Miz as well. And Paul Ellering, and Miz is just in the fetal position, scared to death, and Miz gets out of there. And Paul Ellering ends up taking the mandible claw from Uncle Howdy to end the segment. And this was a hot segment. A lot of meaty stuff going on here. And it'll be interesting to see with the New Day moving on how that story advances. But the Wyatt Six, and putting him with Karrion Kross, like I've liked Karrion Kross. He's got a lot of natural ability, kind of maybe boring in terms of his wrestling style, but his promos have always been kind of interesting. It just hasn't clicked on the main roster, and sadly, I think they're going to lose this feud, but I think it like with American Made, it got them over even losses. I still think that this could be potentially good. There's some storyline elements with Miz potentially that could play into this, so I'm interested to see where this goes. This was a productive opening match and segment after all the stuff that went on with Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed. So then we sort of roll along in this show. The next match is Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Io Sky and Kairi Sane. This ended in a no contest. I love what they're doing with Metaphor and Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson getting a lot of face time on the main roster. They need more women. They need more women's tag teams. Jakara and Lash are really great. Lash, I used to think she was green as hell. She's gotten so much better in the last 2 years. It's really impressive. So this is great that they get involved. They've gotten something going on with Damage Control. They're going to face each other on NXT, so that's great. Then it got really wonky because I've been a proponent of the Liv Morgan, and you can go. I had a video way back when talking about how I think this Liv Morgan Rhea Ripley feud should last until WrestleMania. I'm starting to have my doubts that this is going to have any legs to get there because, man, Rhea is getting a lot of offense in. Liv is running away a lot. And Raquel Rodriguez, God bless her, she had a really good promo on the show to explain why, she's kind of targeting Rhea. But she's not being presented in a very intimidating fashion as a threat to Rhea. Neither is Liv, which is kind of the point because Liv is smaller in stature and she's supposed to be the chicken shit heel in this scenario. But man, every single time that this has happened since, in the lead up to Bad Blood and now post Bad Blood with Raquel involved, it's like, I don't know how they're going to keep this thing going because now obviously you got Liv going into a match against Nia Jax at Crown Jewel. which is a mega mismatch, and really, I just don't know how you could sell me on that. So that's a bit of a misstep there. And then, you know, Raquel is just like, nobody's reacting to her, and she's not being presented in a way that gives me any reason to care. And then Dom Mysterio is becoming more and more of a focal point in this thing. And I understand the relevance of, you know, him to Liv and, you know, Rhea, but it's become like that was way more a part of that Bad Blood match than it needed to be. And yes, the big moment that and clearly the reaction of Liv beating the shit, or not Liv, Rhea beating the shit out of Dom is going to get a good reaction when she finally riptides him and beats the living hell out of him. That'll get a great pop. But man, we're getting the nails on the chalkboard territory with this stuff. Like, it's just not, it's not working, and they need to do a better job of making the Judgment Day more intimidating and more of a threat, and they need to do a better job of making, you know, Raquel and Liv more of a threat as a group, to see how that goes. Because if they can't do this, at some point you're going to have Rhea take the title off of Liv. Because how the hell are we going to take Rhea serious? I mean, well, Rhea's credible enough as it is, but how are we going to take, you know, Liv and Raquel seriously when they're always getting their asses kicked by Rhea no matter what happens? Like, Raquel is just, you know, it's not leading to anything. Rhea's getting everything up and standing tall in all of these segments. It's not working for me. So I do like the fact that they had Lash Legend and Kairi Sane and Io Sky doing stuff. Io Sky's incredible. Just a joy to watch her in the ring no matter what. So yeah, it was a little bit of a weird segment. So then a cool announcement. So NXT on November 6th, the day after Election Day, go cast your ballots if you can. I'm not going to tell you which way to go. You can do it as you can. But they're going to the 2300 Arena, the home of NXT. That'll be really cool to see that. That'll go head-to-head with AEW. Ooh, that's bad news for AEW. Haven't really had my chance to talk about those shows or whatnot. But, yeah, they promoted the War Raiders. Good to see them back. That's awesome. So then we're building up Carlito leaving the Judgment Day, which is interesting. The manner of him just, like, you know, being sort of the goofball, it hasn't really worked with this, and like him always getting beat up. So him getting booted out of there, I just don't know what Carlito does. I really don't know what Carlito does beyond Judgment Day and whatnot. So that's going to be something interesting to follow. Then we get a fun tag match between Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, the LWO, taking on the Creeds from American Made. This was an awesome match. Rey Mysterio, 49 years old, still being able to hang with some of the young guns in WWE is just remarkable. I remember starting to watch this guy back in the late 90s, and then obviously when he went to WWE in 2002. To think that, you know, 22 years later, he's still going strong is just remarkable. And Rey and Dragon Lee get to advance. I'm a little disappointed that they're not doing more with the Creeds. Kind of a little bit of a misfire with American Made. Hopefully, maybe they get traded over to SmackDown and potentially become another tag team, and maybe we do some other stuff with tag teams, because clearly I think they've met their ceiling on Raw. So it will be interesting to see what they do. But yeah, American Made since the Chad Gable, like, you know heel turn, and it's kind of been a misfire. I know a lot of people are a little bit mad that they haven't done anything with Otis and that nature. Listen, like, there wasn't going to be anything to be done. Like, Otis wasn't going to be a bigger star. Chad Gable really wasn't going to be much of a bigger star, as you could see. Like, but I like to see them try to do a little bit more. So, yeah. So yeah, they're setting up, Dom Mysterio to face a former world champion next week, potentially to get him into a match against Gunther. There was another segment that followed up with Damian Priest showing up. So clearly Damian Priest wants his championship back. So maybe Damian Priest is going to face Dom next week. I have no idea. It'll be interesting to see where Gunther goes as we head into this match at Crown Jewel with Cody Rhodes. We'll see who his next challenger is. We'll see who Cody Rhodes' next challenger is. It seems like it's heading towards Kevin Owens the way that they're building it, but I don't know. But yeah, that's nonetheless very interesting. So then then the main event was great. Braun Breaker versus Jey Uso. Braun Breaker wins back the Intercontinental Championship. A lot of crazy stuff near the end of this thing. The interference elements from the bloodline was actually really well executed up until the finish, which just kind of fell flat to me. But yeah, the confrontation between Jacob Fatu and Bron Breakker, two of the futures of this company, was awesome. Jey Uso gets his 2 super kicks, a spear, and an Uso splash, but it was a 2 count. Then the Tongans get involved. They get kicked out by Pierce. The ref's distracted, and Jey goes for another spear around the ring. Gets super kicked by Jacob, and then Braun just does his running off the ropes multiple times, the 23-mile-an-hour spear, and wins the match. And there's no running from Jimmy. There's no running from Roman. I understand breadcrumbs, but to just end it on that, and I understand Bron Breakker deserves kind of a moment, it also kind of cheapens the title. Like, I love the moment that Jey got to win the championship. That was a really beautiful moment 4 weeks ago. But now, here's what's happened since Gunther had the 666-day title reign. You've had Sami Zayn hold it for about 4 months, 3.5, 4 months. You had Bron Breakker hold it for 40, 50 days. And then you had Jey Uso hold it for 4 weeks. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I thought we're legitimizing championships. LA Knight is doing a really good job with the U.S. title. And, it's amazing the role reversal that these two championships had since WrestleMania, when Logan Paul was the champion and Gunther lost the championship. It's really wild, but I didn't like that finish. I understood that that's the way they were going to go. But if you're going to go with that finish, at least advance the bloodline thing and maybe have Jimmy run in and do something to hey, and then Jey resist, the handshake after he fights off the Bloodline 2.0. So that was a little bit disappointing. But this was the best 2-hour Raw since they went back to the 2-hour format earlier this month. The other shows, I think they've had issues with timing, but this was well paced. A lot of good moments. Real good show long storyline with Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins. They're building well the crown jewel. They're using their 2 hours better than they had in the previous couple weeks, so I was a little bit impressed with that. But yeah, the main event was great. Fun match. Interference spots were okay. And then the finish just, fell flat for me. I'm not mad that Bron Breakker won. He should be Intercontinental Champion. He's the future of the company. I understand that. But to just do it with, relative, nothing going on, I had a problem with that. So anyway, that's it for the show here. Off the Top Rope. Thanks for watching. I will talk to you guys real soon.